Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
While you're in sunny Florida, be sure to visit
WARlando! Into a world of epic adventure.
Welcome to WARlando. This is Adam. We have a special episode tonight. I'm going to be interviewing William Frederick, who is a very accomplished tournament gamer. Hi, William. How are you?
Hey, Adam. I'm good. How are you?
Good, really good. Is it weird doing this again since we just did it and now I'm recording it?
I know, and I'm going to say it again. Thanks for having me again.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on and doing this.
No, my pleasure as always.
What have you been up to lately?
It's been busy with work, swamping after holidays, so it was always the crazy season.
Yeah, catching up with everything?
Yep. And then I just found out I'm going to go to LVO, like yesterday. So now I'm trying to prep up everything so I don't lose my tournament points again. So I'm going to try to paint everything according to the rubric.
Man, yeah, that's a challenge. And Joshua was telling me that you had some interesting times with that. Yeah, he told me about Nova.
Oh, don't remind me about that. I wasn't be able to sleep for like 2 days.
Oh, man.
It was sad, but it was fun. I left the tournament.
I only go to Crucible, and I still, with a year gap, I still find myself painting right up until the night before.
We'll see. I mean, I guess I can't blame them for it. I did paint them within 2 weeks, but I don't know. 4 out of 10. I don't know if it's that bad. So I think.
Well, 4 out of 10.
4 out of 10. It's pretty sad. So it's. I mean, I know I did it pretty fast, but 4 out of 10. That's pretty sad.
Yeah. When we played each other at Crucible, your army looked fantastic.
That was exactly what it looked like. So I didn't do a single thing on it. So that's a 4 out of 10. So.
Wow. They must be really picky.
Yeah, and I think that I'm not bashing on the judges, but they did say I guess some of the rubric is a bit vague. So I heard some judges judge it a little bit harsh than the other. Some judges are more lenient. So I don't know. It varies. So you never know. But it's over. So
yeah, it's such a personal thing being able to judge art and everything. It's people's different opinions.
For sure. And usually it doesn't really matter, but this is, I guess, the only time that matters for me. So it I guess it's personal now.
Oh, well, that's too bad because apparently you did really well in that one. That was just this past year, right? Was that September?
Yeah, that was September. Yeah, I went undefeated. I guess I went max point all the way, and I'm the only one undefeated. But I got down to like 6th or 8th place because I think the painting point is worth like 2 victory or something like that. So I basically, yeah, it was that's why that was one of my other complaint. It was so big, so it doesn't even matter. It's I don't know. It's debatable, I guess.
The hobby's important. Like I really don't like. I had one time I was playing in a tournament and I played against someone who had a completely unpainted army, even though you were expected to come with a 3-color minimum. They didn't want to turn anybody away because there wasn't a big turnout.
I agree.
Yeah, it's just it takes so much away from the game.
Mm-hmm. But to have it that big, yeah.
And
so
I could see it if like your army looks great. It was
Thank
that
you.
same
Thank you.
Nagash army.
Yeah, it's this exact same list, exact same army, basically. So I didn't do any single thing on it. So
wow. Well, that's too bad.
I know. Yeah. Well, I think what happened was they used to have a best general trophy, but I think somewhere along the way they took it out, I guess, to stop people from just, I guess, playing the game to win. But I guess, to be honest, for me, of all the competitive games I've played, no one who's in at least top 10 table have their armies like non-painted. I guess it's a lot of them are pretty good in painting, and then at least they tried their best to paint their army. So I don't know what they're trying to, I guess, accomplish with that. But again, maybe they make some changes next year. And then the TO realizes that problem too, because at the end of the game, the people who's in table 2 and 3 was not even playing anymore because they're not getting any prizes because there's not even 2nd or 3rd place. only best general. Not even best general, best overall.
They actually just stopped playing?
Yeah, because there's no point in playing, right? I mean, even in your table 2, you're not even winning second or third place. There's only best overall.
But so don't you want to be, I guess, ranked? So you don't want to find yourself getting some kind of finishing position, right? I mean, that's me.
Yeah, I suppose. But after you play like 6 rounds trying to be at least top 3 and get a trophy, you're not really getting anything, because the only thing they hand out is best, like best allegiance, right? Best order, best dead, and all that, and best overall. And that's really hard, and that's only like, you can't even control it, because there's like 4 undead players in the top 4, right? So I'm getting best dead, and then none of them are getting anything. So it's yeah, but it's a fun tournament overall. It's just
okay.
The prizes are
What were the prizes?
Well, I got a model, like one model. I think it was Lady Oleander or something like that.
Yeah.
But we were all aiming for the trophies, like that Sigmar hammer trophy from the GW. That was pretty cool. So
that's cool. And Nova's supported by GW?
Yes. I think Nova's one of, right now, I think it's the only sanctioned event. I know LVO is next, but it's the first GW sanctioned event in the US. So,
wow, I'm kind of surprised. What's my memory just shuts down after 9 p.m. But Adepticon. I'm surprised Adepticon is. It is,
but it's just. I think Nova was the start. That's when they started saying, "All right, from now on, it's a GW sanctioned event." They put like the seal on the thing or whatever. I think Adepticon and LVO is the next other sanctioned event, I think.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I hope, and you're definitely going to LVO?
I bought my ticket to LVO, so I hope I'll do better this year in LVO. So.
How'd you do last year?
I got I think 8. It was brutal. I played against the guy who won first place on the 5th round, and I lost to another guy. I didn't know before I play him. I guess he was one of the, I forgot what was his name. He was one of the top England player. I think he was the captain of England player too. He won so many tournaments, and I didn't know him at all. But it was really, really good, and he went second place. So it was not too bad, but I wish I could have won better.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, who?
It's fun though.
Who wouldn't want to do better? But that's great to just be a part of it. I mean.
Yeah. It's hey, at least at that one I won top 10 best painted. So.
That's so weird to go from one extreme like that.
Yeah, to another extreme. So see, that was the other part. I don't think I did paint them that well on that army. I was playing Fire Slayers. I spent way more time, I felt like, on my ghosts, and then that's why it's art. It's judgmental, I guess. It's not.
Yeah,
it's pretty subjective.
I'd love to see all of your armies set up at some point.
Definitely, yeah. Well, one day I'll show you, I guess.
Yeah, that'd be great. We're trying to get some stuff up on YouTube too, so it'd be great to do like an army showcase kind of thing. So, what's involved in prepping for LVO for you?
So, number one is probably painting.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure I'll read all the rubrics and all that. But I guess in all seriousness, I think the best one is when they actually post the scenario and the mission. So I actually read all the scenario and the mission, and I'm actually, since I have a lot of armies, I basically pick the best army to play in all the mission. I guess I pick the army which have the best probability in winning in every single mission.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I basically tone down my army.
Gotcha. How many armies do you have currently?
I think I have all the competitive one except daughters. Although I think all the armies now are pretty competitive. So I wouldn't say no armies pretty bad, but I would say, I guess, in this meta, the only army I was going back to is Nagash, because it's, I don't know, once you play all the realm spells and all that, he becomes too powerful, I feel like. So it's just, he's so good.
You think he's too good?
Yeah, it's not him. It's just him and the buddies, I guess. Yeah. Him with the Grim Gas and all the spells and the realm spells. It's the combination of everything, I think. Because back then, before all the realm spells exist and the Grim Gas wasn't exist, they're not always winning. They're up there, but it's not like super duper strong as they are now. So
you're saying you feel bad bringing Nagash? Like you'd just be no one could touch you?
No, it's when you play a big tournament like that, you want to bring the most smash use army, right?
Yeah.
So, because I when I was playing LVO, I mean, I play dude who have nothing but shooting, and it wrecked every single army it played, and until it played another army that's more broken than him, and he got wrecked. So it's that's what you bring.
It's tricky. I felt, I haven't been playing for very long, but I felt in 8th edition a lot of times I would run into like a rock paper scissors.
Yeah.
Kind of matchup, but you think that's done with, right? With 2nd edition?
Yeah, I don't think it exists anymore. Now, I mean, I don't think it really applies in Sigmar. I think in back then it was always 3 armies. It was always really good, and the other was just meh. I feel like now almost any army that is built, I guess, according to the tournament with a good general, I think you can win in any events, I think. So
that's really exciting to hear. It's a great
I agree, and
system,
that's what I really like about this book. Yeah. I love it. This edition is the best so far, I feel like.
Yeah, that's great. So, tell me about your Warhammer journey. How'd you get started in wargaming?
Oh, I do. Oh, it was a long journey actually. It's funny. This is all the way to 2nd, 3rd grade of middle school, I said. It was a funny story actually. Back in Indonesia, I guess my mom told me I wasn't old enough to play Warhammer, so I started doing Gundam. I don't know if you know Gundam, like the model
I'm
kit.
familiar with
robot.
Yeah, I'm familiar with robots. I'm not familiar with the game though.
Oh no, I built them. So basically,
okay.
I that's how I started with, I guess, modeling by itself. I love, I guess, building model kits. I start with Lego, but Gundam is the next thing that you can build and glue and paint. And so they were telling me it's cheaper and it's easier to do. So that's how I started. I basically did Gundam. I entered competition and all that. I'm always really competitive back then. So I always do competition with Gundam all the way, I will tell you, to grade 11 until I guess someone introduced me back to Warhammer. And then I was like, oh, finally I can play them. And I didn't really play competitively until I actually moved to US. And so that's just until like 4 or 5 years ago, I didn't start playing like actual tournaments and all that. And yeah, and then that's how I really started become this, I guess, tournament freak.
When you moved to the US, did you move to Orlando?
No, I actually went to Akron, Ohio. So I started with my aunt, moved there, Akron, Ohio. Then I moved to Wisconsin, then to Orlando. So that's been a journey.
Well, it sounds like when I listen to all the different podcasts, at least the American ones, it sounds like the Midwest is where like the biggest part of the Warhammer scene really is. Did you feel like that while you were out there versus here in Orlando?
So I didn't play too much in the Midwest, but I heard the biggest one is in California, just because SoCal and all the California tournament is pretty big. But I'm not sure. I haven't been enough tournaments that I could tell. But again, I guess Michigan, Chicago events are pretty big themselves. I'm not sure.
So you never got to go to Adepticon?
No. I was gonna go this year, but my ticket was sold out.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know it was gonna be sold out that quick. So it was a mistake on my end.
It's tough to find that out in advance without someone on the inside. Do you know anyone else is going?
Yeah, I mean, I think all the people I know is going. Like Joe Creer, he's the one who's been winning. I think he won Adepticon last year. I think he did. And I think Bill Souza also is going. I think he won a couple tournaments as well too. I think a lot of the top players are always going, and they're pretty. The guy who beat me from England, I think he's coming as well too. I think all the like regulars are always there, like top 15, top 20 people. They always budget their tournaments yearly. So I would like to go to Warhammer World one day and then join one of the Heat tournament, but it was.
Yeah, I would love
far.
to. Yeah, it's a bit of a trip. Yeah, I don't know if I could justify it to my friends and family to say, yeah, I'm going to England. I'm just to go to Warhammer World.
Well, I think you should do like a weekend, like a whole week trip, and then like your wife could do something else on the weekend, and then you can do the tournament, and then you spend your whole week with her. So it's I think that's the only way to do it.
Yeah, that sounds like a fair trade-off.
Yeah.
And that sounds smart too, doing it first
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
relaxing afterwards. Otherwise, you're just gonna be reading your.
You'll be super tired, and then I don't know, maybe you're nervous or something like that.
Yeah, I could see if it was at the end of the week, I would just be like going over the battle
Yeah,
totals and not
I
paying
know, I
attention.
know. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you're getting ready to go to LVO and you're thinking about the meta. How do you research that?
So I haven't been doing too much homework. I haven't had time to do it.
Mhm.
The way I used to do it back then, it was just I used just to go to like websites like AOS Shorts and I think Honest Wargamer or something like that. That was Rob Weiss. He used to work in Warhammer or something like that.
Mhm.
And I think he gives a really good stats and like the winning armies. But then again, like those armies are not the same throughout tournaments. So I noticed, like LVO and Nova all have a different meta, and usually the metas are determined by the top players, right? So it doesn't like if it's I guess if you're trying to go for first place, then all you're trying to predict is the top 16 players, and the rest in the bottom you can't really predict because unless you're doing really bad, then I guess you go in the bottom. But then I guess if you want to go number one, you always have to assume that you're going to play that top 16 players. And hopefully they're all the typical armies, usually like Daughters, Idanet, Nagash, or something like that. So I would try to do as much mirror match as I could, finding how to beat them in different scenarios and like that. Mm-hmm. I usually don't prepare much against different armies. I usually just try to do, like what would I deploy if I went first in this scenario, or like what spells I should supposed to do, or like what is this? I guess the one trick pony that I could do to stop one of their movement or something like that. So,
mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
What kind of advice would you give to new people that were preparing for a tournament?
So the one thing that helped me a lot is knowing what your opponent does. Like, I know I'm crazy. I guess I have a lot of armies, but it actually helped me know the weaknesses of every single army, and I think part of the reason why I guess I've been winning some of the games I played is because I know exactly what the armies do when I play them, and by just knowing, you did something wrong with your army during his movement, I guess give me the confidence to actually know what he's going to do next and basically predict what he's going to do. So I think just by knowing what the war school does and what are the stuff that are actually going to affect his movement and his whole ability and all that would tremendously help you in any tournament, I would say.
Did you ever read Sun Tzu's Art of War?
No. Is that a podcast or?
No. It's a famous book.
I think I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah, ancient manual on being a great general. But one of the things that's said in there, this isn't going to be an exact quote, but he says, if you don't know your own army or your enemy's army, defeat is guaranteed. If you know your own army and you don't know your enemy's army, then victory is undetermined. But if you know your enemy's army and your own army, victory is assured.
Yep, and I agree. I think that's the best way to explain Warhammer.
So study the other books, know what the other armies do.
Yep. Or buy the army and play them. That's probably the easiest way to play them.
Well, assuming that you can't, assuming you don't have the the $20,000 to throw down.
Well, here's what happened. I was really fortunate. I guess I do my own business using eBay. Mm-hmm. So I guess people would say I have so many armies and I waste a lot. I actually don't. I mean, I would have so many great deals whenever I bought them. And so basically, when I bought them, I broke even. So either I bought a huge, I sold half of them for like the full price because I've been getting them at like tremendous discount, and so the thing that I'm spending is basically time, and luckily I paint pretty fast, so I can produce an army within a month with I guess little amount of budget, but it just takes some time to sell them online, I guess. So
I've heard that as well, that that Warhammer models in general will keep their value. So it's not like if you buy something and decide it's not something you want, you can probably find someone else that will buy it. Is that what you're saying you're doing? You're just turning over what you've already played with that you don't want anymore?
No, so I would I guess some people buy them when they're cool. So I would actually make my army first, then buy them. And so I would try to find the best deal. Say like back then in Stormcast, I would buy like 15 Battle Force. And I would buy them in such a great deal with someone else. And so basically when I sold the half portion of it, I basically only spent like $10 or $15 for like the whole Stormcast set or something like that. And so I basically made, like a 3,000 point that I could make with my Stormcast with $100, something like that. And of course you have to paint it, but it's just small amount of budget. And I did that for my Fire Slayers too. Before, I guess when they put out the Battle Force, it used to be like $1,000 army because like a Berserker cost $60 and I have 120 of them. All right, I mean back then it's 60 times 220. That's like 700 plus all the dragon and all that. It's almost 1,000. But when they put the Battle Force, all I did was just I made a deal with the store, and then I got it to the price that if I buy 10 of them, and I could sell 10 dragons, I'm only spending like 150 for like 120 of the Berserkers. And so I guess doing that really helps me getting a lot of armies.
That's really smart.
Yeah.
That's great. You're savvy on and off the table.
Yeah. Thank you.
So you're talking about being able to paint an army quickly. I mean, what's your technique? What advice you have there?
So I would say any army has its own colors that's popping out. So if you know what characteristic you want to have in your army, and what colors you want to try to pop out, they'll help you tremendously, and then make it look really good, like on the table. So I use because then if you want to try to pop something out, all you could do is use airbrush, and basically if I want to make them tabletop, I can paint like 100 models or something like that within like a week or two, 4 colors, something like that. Just spray paint, and then airbrush one color, wash and dry brush, and then that's usually pretty quick for myself.
Did that take you long to get to that level? I mean, you said you've been painting since 3rd grade.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I didn't realize this. I guess airbrush was always been a thing since 3rd grade. So it's for me, like 5 minutes all it takes to get prepped out to start my airbrush. Like just spray painting all my models, and then that's it. I guess I didn't realize for some people it took them, like hours just to prep it out, clean it up, and all that. I just got super used to it when I did it, and that was just a thing I've been using, like doing all over again. Because when I was doing Gundam, I was doing like painting competition and all that too. So airbrush was like my paintbrush basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think if you get used to your airbrush skills, you'll paint all your models really really fast, and then they'll look good on table.
So when you're airbrushing, do you go into fine detail with the airbrush, or is it just to get the main color out there, and then you come back with a brush after?
Yeah. So what I usually do is I would find the biggest color that's gonna pop out in model. So say like when I was doing my Fire Slayers, I would paint all the skin with the flesh tone with airbrush, because they're really hard to paint using paint, right? Like with like lighter colors, it's really hard to paint them.
Yeah.
And so I would airbrush in every single one of them, and that gold is easier to paint with brushes. So I would just like squeeze some paint all over the flesh bodies when they're all naked.
Yeah.
And then like the helmet, the cloth, which is red or blue, those are really easy to paint with brushes. So I would just do that first, and then after I did that, I'll just detail with brush, and then that saves so much time compared to just doing it one by one. So yeah, and then I would do like white or like brighter color with the airbrush, because with the brush you have to do it layer by layer, and then it would give you the same effect. It'd probably be better, but I would say I'm not that good of a painter that I could paint that fast with brush, so I always depend with my airbrush.
Gotcha. I'm gonna have an airbrush, but I have not used it very much, and I think it's just getting over that first hurdle of just playing around with it until I get good with it.
Oh, you should try it. I mean, I keep telling everyone, for like $100, you'll get a good, decent, airbrush set, whole with the compression and everything, and then like if you broke it, I mean, you're just spending another $50 for airbrush and all that, and then eventually you'll get there. You just got to start it.
With the brush itself, do you use the siphon fed or the gravity fed?
I would use the gravity fed. The siphon fed takes too much paint, and then I don't usually use that much paint to begin with. And then if it gets clogged, I would say the gravity is easier to clean. That's why I always get the gravity. Yeah.
I started with the siphon fed, and that was definitely my experience. It seemed like I was wasting a lot of paint and
I agree.
a lot of cleanup.
Yep, it's hard. And then what is it with acrylic? It's harder. When I started with Gundam, I would use lacquer, and lacquer is solvable, right? Acrylic or not. So it's another nightmare to thin them down, and it's a more nightmare to clean them down. So that's also one of the challenging part.
Do you use an airbrush paint, or are you mixing your own?
No, I'm mixing my own. I found the airbrush paint well, I guess it depends. Not saying the GW paint airbrush is pretty bad, but GW airbrush paint is a little bit low in the pigment, so it would actually break apart. So if I'm actually using GW paint, I would actually use the regular paint and then thin them down with the airbrush thinner and some water. But if you're using like Vallejo airbrush paint, they're the best. They're pretty good. I think one of the best paint that I've been using is called Scale Color. I think that's what it's called, A3 or something like that. Scale 75. I think those are the best acrylic airbrush color. They have so many pigments, and they're really flat, like color, good looking, like bright. So I love them.
All right, cool. I'm gonna look for that and start experimenting.
And they actually have like a paint set. So if you want to do your own gradation or something like that, like skin tone or like gold all the way to like bronze color, and then they have the whole paint set, and then they're pretty neat. I think they're more on the expensive side, but it's their like $3 to $4 a paint bottle, and I like it. It's pretty good.
Locally, where do you like to go to play games? So
it's too bad we don't have too many people playing. I guess Warhammer. I know in Jacksonville they would have, like at least 10, 15 people locally every week. And I think in Orlando you sort of have to schedule the game. Yeah. So I've been just moving around. So it's Warhammer Winter Park, mini duels, campus card games. I think I've been playing a lot in Sci-Fi and Colosseum of Comics. So it's just everywhere. Everywhere they have a game.
Which Coliseum do you usually go to?
So it's I like the one in Kissimmee, but it's super far from my house. Yeah. So I used to go to Fashion Square Mall. But I don't think there's any group of people actually playing. Otherwise, if you're scheduling a game, they have a really good active 40K people on Friday. So
yeah, anytime I go in there, cause that Coliseum at Fashion Square is closest for me too, and
yeah.
I hardly see anyone ever playing there. And when I do ask, they say, there's some 40K games, but that's it.
Yeah, Matt Ulmer, I do a lot of painting for him. He does a lot of tournaments he's like the Joshua tournament organizer for Fashion Square Mall and 40K. And they usually do it every Saturday or every other Saturday. So, but I don't see any Sigmar people. I know mini duels actually have some people playing on Saturday, but I'm not sure.
I like mini duels, but I never know when they're open. I've had
Well, so you know what's deep secret? I called Paul or Peter if they want to be open. So it's like, hey, I'm gonna be in the store, and they'll be like, all right, I'll open up the store.
Nicholas, he said the same thing. That he'll get in touch with them and they'll be there. But I find like the only way I get in touch with them is Twitter, and then they'll sometimes take a while to respond, or I'll pull up in the parking lot and I'll look at Twitter and they'll say, oh yeah, we're closed today.
Oh, you should message them on Facebook. I think they're more active on Facebook.
Well, cool. When I post this, I'm gonna tag them just to.
But they're all really nice people.
They're the best. They've really, the best. Yeah, they really helped me get into this hobby. That was my main play. When they had that other location before where they are right now, when they first opened, I was there all the time when I was first learning 8th edition.
Awesome! Yeah, nice. Yeah, we went a lot of like the big tournaments like together because they would go to LVO and Nova for like their vendors.
Yeah.
So usually, instead of going alone, I have them as a backup.
Hey, that's important.
They're my true supporter.
Where they are now, I feel like they're kind of like a Warhammer speakeasy.
They're awesome. I have fun memories with them. It was fun.
That's great. That's great.
Yep.
One of the things I really want to, like, why I wanted to do this with Nicholas and Mark making WARlando happen is trying to build the Central Florida community. Because anytime I talk to people, I meet new people playing Age of Sigmar, they don't know where to play, they don't know how to get a hold of people to play. Pretty much like you're saying, what would you like to see that could make the Orlando gaming scene better?
That's a great question. I wish I knew it myself. Because usually back then we used to have a Thursday group in the Warhammer store, and I think I remember Max was one of the player. Did you met Max? He's from England.
I think so. I'm more of a face guy, but
okay.
I'm terrible with remembering names.
He's a retired veteran, but yeah, short story. He would come to U.S. in Orlando, have half of his house, and stay for 3 or 4 months, and he was always there on Thursday, I guess, showing all the people, hey, this is Warhammer and all that, and he sort of built that community, and for a while, I mean, I would say for a year or two, whenever he shows up, during the half of the year he's there, there's always 6 or 8 people playing in the Warhammer store every Thursday, and then that was good. And I guess after he stopped showing, we don't really have that amount of people again that always comes every Thursday, and then so it eventually dies down, sadly.
That's too bad. He was the anchor.
Yeah, I know. Maybe we need to have an actual player who's always there, dedicate their time every day, and then do that. Well, I think that's how it happened in Jacksonville. Have you ever met Emmy? Have you met Emmy?
Yes. I think I actually got to play with him at Crucible.
So I think he does that. I mean, the level of, I guess, commitment he does to the community. He would, sacrifice a Saturday, be there all day, not even play a game. And then his game was basically to introduce people how to play and all that. And then that builds a community. I think we need that person.
I would love to volunteer and be that person, but working around entertainment, our schedules are constantly in flux. But it would be so great to have a night. This is, I know that, okay, I have Wednesday off, and this is the store on Wednesday, this is the store on Thursday.
Yeah. So far, we don't have that. I think that was. I know John is trying to build on Thursday again. So hopefully, hope he'll make that. So
yeah, and he's at the Warhammer Winter Park
store. Yeah, he's one of the other manager.
Yeah, I know John. Yeah.
Yep.
But you said Thursday.
I think he's trying to do back Thursday. He's trying to revive Thursday because for a couple of years back then when it started opening, they would actually close at 9 because some of the people would show up at 6 and they couldn't finish their game until 9. So it was a thing back then.
Yeah. The old Games Workshop store that was out there in Altamont. I would get there and I felt like I was closing the door as soon as I walked in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because usually driving all the way out there to Altamont, I would get off work at 5. So I-4 traffic, I don't get there until after 6. You get set up, you talk to people, you start playing the game, and then next thing you know, he's closing the door at 8.
Yeah, that's rough.
I like CCG2 because they stay open so late.
Yeah, they actually close midnight.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
And they are trying really hard to build the community. Mm-hmm. So Dan Henderson, he's I think he's one of the coordinator there, and I think they actually have a lot of people who's actually playing locally, and I know there's a good 6 or 5 people playing, but I just don't know where their schedule is. But he's trying to be more active and trying to post every, I guess, event or every games they have, so people are more aware of it. And so that's nice. I mean, I think we have the people. It's just so many games store and everyone's segregated, as said.
Yeah, segregated and spread out.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I love the Coliseum in Kissimmee because I think they have some of the best tables I've seen in town.
Oh, absolutely, I agree. It's well maintained. It's nice looking, and It's a big place, so.
But it's pretty far.
It's far, yeah. It's a good, an hour away from you? I think that's where it's from my house, yeah.
I think I can do it in about 35, 40 minutes. Because I'm right at the 408 and I-4, like not right there, but not far from there. Conway area.
Okay.
Yeah, but I know Nicholas and Mark, they're coming from like the Winter Park side of town.
Yeah, that's even further.
Side of town. Yeah, it takes them like an hour to get there.
Yeah. That's without traffic, so.
Yeah, without traffic. But still, fantastic store. And they've still got that their Winter League going on. Are you going to participate in that?
No, I'm really busy this month, so I'll be in Chicago in 2 days, and then I'll be in Ohio the next week. Then I'll go to LVO, so I probably would miss like almost 3 of the week. So that's why I didn't participate.
Yeah, I understand.
Yep.
You got to pick and choose, but it's the last one was pretty fun and definitely casual. Do you get into the leagues or any of the narrative kind of gaming? Or are you more focused?
That's I think that's the bad part about me. I only play like competitive hardcore tournaments.
Yeah.
I do play for fun, but playing narrative is not really my thing. I play Shadespire though. That's one of the better stuff I like to play. So.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm hesitant to get into Shadespire because it sounds like all the cards.
Oh, I love it. I guess I started with Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic, and then that's how I really do competitive. And then it's not really good because the dice is really, really big in that game.
Yeah.
But again, like any other game, if you play it well, then you play it well. If you don't, you don't. But it's again, it's a card game I like, so it's a twist for Warhammer, I guess.
Yeah. I hear really good things. I hear it's fun and it's fast. You can just sit down and play a game.
Yeah. It's fun. I love them.
Aesthetically, when you're talking about Warhammer armies, which is your default? Like, what do you have a favorite army just for the look?
Yeah, see, people are probably gonna bash me for this. I don't, because I have so many of all the armies, and I don't know if anyone told you this, but I'm well known for switching armies every time it became broken.
When it became broken, like once it got too powerful.
When it become really competitive, then I'll start to read them, and then when it become think I can beat someone with one turn if it works pretty well, and then I started painting the armies. So I never really buy an army because they look cool. I bought an army because I can win games with this. So that sort of destroys the hobby. But it's I feel like you can make any army look cool. Like if say like this. I mean, I saw someone else doing this. They would buy the Eidolon model, like from the Eidonet.
Yeah, the big.
Yeah. And he made it to a vampire lord. I mean, talk about conversion, right? It's $140 model for like a small miniature model that he fit into like a small base. But it's if you want to make it cool, you can always buy the model and convert it to something else. So.
Yeah, that's true. One of the guys that played at Crucible, he was playing an ogre army, but his theme was that the ogres had all been transformed to look like elves. So it was really it was all like dark elf models that had been converted to be.
I might saw that one. Yeah, that's pretty neat.
Well, I mean, I like the concept's fun. And so, yeah, I totally agree that GW's models. I think you can take it and make it look cool. Absolutely,
yeah. That's the best part of the gaming that I love. I guess you can abuse it in certain ways, but it's really cool. Like even one of the guys who won a couple of tournaments in England, the Bjorn guy, he was, I think, one of the tournaments he was playing like triple phoenixes or something like that, and like the phoenix models are old, so he was actually using the high elf dragon models. He was using the high elf dragon. I think Carmine Dragon, Dark Elf Dragon for the Phoenix, and he just made them look like a Phoenix, and that works.
That's cool.
Exactly fine. Yeah, but it looks really cool on the table. So I love how all the conversion you can do and all that.
And that's what really brings it to life. If that army looks good, you can really get into the fantasy. I like the fantasy and I like the story aspect of the game.
Yeah,
and still the competition. and the playing and the winning.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's one thing I'm lacking. I do make them look cool, but it's for the sake of winning, I guess. I surely shouldn't say this, but
Hey, it's your hobby. This is the way you want to play, and that's awesome.
yeah. Some people like to win. Some people like to play it for the tournaments, and like I like to paint, but I like to win tournaments too. So
That's awesome.
yeah, thank you.
So, going to LVO, you're planning to do Nova again.
I don't think I can make it this year because I heard they're sold out as well, which I'm screwed. I know it's so far away. It's all in October, and then they already sold out. It's crazy.
Yeah, I guess it's just that big.
Have you been to one of these events? They're massive.
I haven't been.
So,
I'm a big fan of Dragon Con, and it's the same weekend.
Oh, okay. What kind of con is it? Is it like a?
It's a Dragon Con's got a bit of everything. I think they started out way back as kind of more of like a Dungeons and Dragons kind of thing, but that was back in like the 80s. Now it's
wow,
gigantic.
Okay.
It's 5 or 6 hotels in downtown Atlanta, and anything you're into, they've got.
That's huge. Okay.
Yeah, it's divided up into tracks. So there's gaming tracks, there's cosplay tracks, there's just the fan tracks if you want to, like just Doctor Who. You can find stuff to do over the 4 weekends that will occupy your entire day. That's just like Doctor Who related.
Dang. Okay, that's pretty big. Yeah.
If you're into like genetics, there you can find like a track that will keep you occupied all weekend.
Really?
Any kind of fandom, it's there. It's
there. Okay, so you would say it's like a what is it? I've been to the San Diego Comic Con. That's massive. I think I would say the biggest Comic Con ever. But yeah.
I haven't been, but I feel like this is different.
That's true. This is more targeted, I guess. San Diego Comic Con is for like, I guess it's more like all the toys, right? Something like that.
Yeah, toys and comics and movies.
Yeah, that's true.
If you ever get the opportunity to go, I highly recommend it. But I haven't been to San Diego, so I really don't know how to compare.
Got it. But yeah, Nova was pretty big, I would say. And when I went, I was amazed because they would basically rent out the whole hall of the hotel, and we're talking about like a 10-story hotel, and then they took basically all the event center, like all 3 floors. Basically, in the bottom level for the Warhammer. Yeah.
Just with Warhammer.
So it's basically 1 floor for every event. So I think the lowest floor is all for Sigmar and the vendors. I think 2nd floor, which is even bigger, it's for 40K. I think they almost have triple or quadruple the amount of 40K than Sigmar. And I think that the other level was, I think War Machine and all the other games combined. It was pretty big. So.
Do you play 40K?
I used to, but I'm always the fantasy guy, and I think I suck at 40K. That's why I don't play them.
You don't feel like the urge to like jump into it to get better?
No, just because the moment I started, fantasy's always been a thing. My first army was a high elf, and playing with dragons and big monsters is always a thing.
Yeah,
and they don't really have like dragons with lances and spears and 40K. They do, but it's a different kind of spear and lance. So yeah, I really like Sigmar.
Yeah, I prefer it. I prefer Sigmar as well. 40K looks like a lot of fun, but if I have to choose one or the other, yeah, I'm going Sigmar.
Plus, I love the Sigmarines better than the Marines itself. They're awesome looking. No matter how people talk about them, I love them. I think I have almost every model in Stormcast because I love them so much.
That's great.
Yeah, they look really great.
I couldn't get into them right away just because I didn't like the helmet. I didn't like the faceplate.
What?
I know, it's just
awesome.
me. I don't know, it reminded me of something that looked kind of Aztec. I don't know, I just didn't fit like the medieval fantasy aesthetic that I wanted.
Different. It looks a little bit different from any other else, but I think they needed it.
Did you when the conversion happened from 8th edition to Age of Sigmar, did you immediately get excited about it, or was there a transition phase?
So what's funny about it was I actually didn't start playing again until Age of Sigmar just started. So it was actually not even a transition for me because I think when I stopped playing it was 5th edition.
Okay.
And so I didn't even play again after, like Age of Sigmar just started, and for me that was okay. So it's just I'm just basically starting over.
All right, yeah. So it wasn't a harsh transition like it was for a lot of people.
Yeah, not at all because I didn't know anything when that happened because everything was back home. So it was actually pretty good for me.
That's great. You had a nice fresh perspective. There was a lot of us. It was kind of a really harsh transition.
There's still some of them.
Yeah, it's true. I know a lot of people that were Warhammer Fantasy players that switched over to Kings of War because it was so much similar to the other one. But I feel like they're really missing out. The fun place to be is Age of Sigmar.
I agree. I mean, I think they made it into such a great game. I mean, I don't remember how fantasy was because I mean, I stopped playing in 5th edition, but I don't remember being as super, I guess, balanced out like this as now. I mean, if you look at old tournaments, like top 10 is almost different. I mean, I guess, like this is the thing. I guess if people were saying, like Nagash or Legions or Daughters of Kin have been winning, but if you look at the person, it's the same person and again sometimes. So it's I would say in that tournament, I guess I would say the general was been winning it. I mean, so it's whatever army he plays in the last edition, he's winning it too. So technically, it's just whatever army that guy was playing, right? So
yeah,
like this guy, I said, like Andrew Stanfield or something like that, right? He won with Stormcast back to back when Stormcast wasn't the army that has been winning, and he's been winning it on the event where Stormcast was the winning army. So I would say it's a lot on the general, and then they made it really good with the new General's Handbook to like to punish, like to use armies. I mean, even though they're broken, but if you don't play it well, you still probably can't win the entire tournament. So
yeah, it can only carry you so far, and I do completely agree. I think whatever way you want to play, each army book has the ability to do that. Do you know what I mean? Like if there's a certain you want to be an Alpha Strike, there's probably a way in your battle tome to make something like that happen.
I agree. And then like I think like everyone was saying, even that guy, the Bjorn guy who's playing, like the 4 Phoenix, he can win the tournament.
Yeah,
he just played really well, and then no one know he's gonna win, and he won it twice. So it's definitely his strategy, right? So it's
for the future of Sigmar, what would you like to see? Are old armies you'd like to see get new stuff, or is there anything new that you'd like to see?
So I think well, I mean, I don't know, saying from like a competitive perspective, I guess I wish they didn't do too much of a harsh correction, I guess, with the broken army, because I guess a lot of the armies I own went from like the best armies in the game, like when you're winning with it, to almost unplayable. So I mean, I guess I'm hoping when they correct it, I guess make them just playable, not like unplayable, because it's pretty sad when you buy them, paying them with your time, and the next thing you know, it's like, oh no, they're gone.
Yeah.
Completely gone. So it was it's pretty sad. So
it is. I play Daughters of Cain, and I'm really nervous about General's Handbook 2019. Yeah.
It's coming. So
yeah, that's what everybody says.
Yeah.
I would rather see, if it's that unbalanced, maybe, make some things cheaper, because it sounds like they're just going to tweak points and maybe the occasional FAQ to kind of balance things out. Yeah,
that's what I hope, but a lot of time it never happened that way. It went like poop. like say like change was take a chance, right? I mean, like I think the whole army, I don't know if you played them before, but it was probably one of the most single-handedly most broken army in the game. And it was continuously winning for the whole year, basically.
And we're talking Tzeentch, right? That's Change Host, and
Change Host is the one you can swap units, and then you can basically fill the entire board with it, and then you can do like tremendous amount of magic, like not unbounded, like because back then magic was such a low range to unbound.
Yeah.
So you can do a lot of stuff with it, and now I think after the point cost, I think it's actually like a 600 or 700 point addition to play the same army. So it's that's impossible to play, and let alone they nerf a lot of the stuff they have on the War Scroll. So it's
It's such a shame. I can't imagine having invested so much into an army, the time, the energy, and just to have it just shut down to the point where I wouldn't want to play it.
Yeah, I agree. I like the changes they did to Stormcast. Like a lot of times, like they did try to make it balanced, but not unplayable.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think I was hoping they did that to all the armies. Like even then, Conin Rook, like the that whole orc with like 500 arrows, like they went from super broken to sort of, I wouldn't say unplayable, but it's really hard to play them now just because of that. So
what did they change?
I think they bump up the battalion to like double its price.
Mm-hmm.
They added. I mean, I think I used to be able to field like 90 savage orcs and then like a couple thornhorns. Now I could barely fit 90 savage orc in my army. It was a great point change. I would say like a 500 600 difference. Same thing they did on Fire Slayers. They took out a lot of the stuff. They almost doubled all the hero prices, and then it became almost unplayable, I would say.
Man, that's a shame. So you don't think you'll be picking your Fire Slayers up again?
No, they've been in the box ever since the LVO. So,
man,
sadly, I know. I invested so much time on it, and then it's there in the box.
Oh, that's such a shame.
I know.
And particularly now when we're just talking about how everything finally seems like they are doing better and balancing things out.
They do. It's just, when like when they're trying to win tournaments, like every single edge would matter, so it's
true, yeah.
Like having 9 spells versus no spells, that's a bit of a kicker for me.
Particularly now, I love how magic has become so vital in second edition.
Yeah, I agree. It's a big thing.
Yeah, it's like an entire phase of the game now. Hero phase has become so much more powerful than it used to be.
Mm-hmm. I agree. That realm spell is just so powerful.
Yeah. And the one thing I missed talking about 8th edition was the ability to really customize your characters. And at this second edition now, I feel like you really can customize your characters with the different. You have your Battle Tome artifacts, then your realm artifacts, and then the Battle Tome spells, realm spells. So many options. I really think it's great. That's one of my favorite parts. Yeah,
I love it. It's just sadly, like Nagash abuses that spell. But I think other than Nagash, any army has actually been balanced out just with the addition of all those items and artifacts, extra command abilities and all that. And I love it. It adds, depth to the game, and then it makes the game really more competitive. And I think that's the reason why the game is really balanced now, because all of that, So I think it's a good change.
Yeah, agreed. I'm more excited now about this game than at any point I've played it any time in the past.
Yeah, and I think one of the things they did really great is the fact that the FAQ comes really fast. I don't know if anyone told you about my list before when I was doing my ATC. that was that was not a fun army, I guess, to play against. It's I don't know if you noticed when the realm spells first came in, Umbral Spell Portal, you used to be able to use it as many times as you want. So
you could put
you can put them, you can put all your caster behind and basically have a 36-inch range to your spell. And you know how Tzeentch have 10 different mortal wound spell that could do almost. I was doing 40 mortal wounds a turn, and and that was unbindable because you know how
back in
because Lord of Change and Kairos always rolls to the highest number, right? So if you roll a 2 and a 5, that's a 10, and then it's almost impossible to fail. And when you do fail, you have the other guy who rerolls failed casting roll. So that's it's a good 30-40 more wounds a turn, and then it was
per turn.
Yeah, so it was not really balanced when they did that, and then they did change it within like a month or two. So it was I like the fact that they're pretty, quick in responding to the community.
Yeah, they don't want a broken game, and they don't want people to rage quit.
Yeah. Yeah. And one end is pretty good, but I guess in the other end, it's pretty sad for me because I jumped to things pretty fast.
I understand. Did you get a Kharadron Overlord's army when that came out?
Oh, tell me about it. I did. I bought 30, what is it, Sky Wardens. I bought the boat, and I knew something's happening. So I bought the other version, which is the like the dude on the battle line dude.
Yeah.
And then I would bought the other. I forgot which one was it. The one that was you can do -2 run or something like that. But then I think just within a month or two they changed the whole profile, and then that went away. And that was pretty sad because here I am trying to convert all the weapons to make it look like
You were one of them.
I was one of them. and I finally made it. I finally cast like all 30 of them just to find out that they changed the war scrolls. I was so mad.
that was something they should have caught beforehand. That they should have seen that coming, that the way the war scroll was written, everybody was going to try and put that one gun on 5.
Yeah. So you know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I did I made 30 copies of that gun. And
you cast it yourself?
Yeah, it wasn't easy. I'm going to tell you that.
I thought you were going to say you were one of the people that bought, I bought 30 boxes.
No, remember, I got to be economic.
Yeah. Nicholas was in the same boat. He was
okay.
he bought Kharadron Overlords right when he came out, and he was working on making the conversions too to make that happen. So I keep forgetting what gun that was, but yeah, he was doing the same thing, and there were so many people that were caught out. I
mean it's a good one-trick pony army. You basically kill almost anything that you'll find because I don't think there's any stopping you from shooting at that range. And and so it was, I guess I'm pretty surprised. They don't usually, I guess back then they don't make changes within a couple months like that. So it caught me off guard.
Yeah. Well, it was right before GHB 18, right? Or no, 17.
That's true. And then they actually released the War Scroll on the book. Yeah, I feel like they should have done it better before releasing it because you got to take into consideration the people who actually bought it.
Yeah, I think they should have for the people that did buy 30 of them, there should have been a buyback option.
Yeah, and trade them in and then give something else.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah, that was a horrible nightmare for me.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of companies in the past that have made those kind of mistakes. And you said you don't play Dungeons and Dragons. You've never played?
No. Does it happen there too?
Well, they had a 3rd edition player's handbook come out, and it was very short. They went a decade before the 3rd edition came out, and then like a year later, they came out with a 3.5, which for Dungeons and Dragons that was a really short turnover. So I know they got some flack for that, and I think there were PDF versions of the 3.5 book that were given away because of the complaints. And these mistakes happen by these big companies. I'm surprised that this particular one happened with the Kharadron Overlords.
Yeah. Well, it's I think it's one of the first army that was like fresh new. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they're excited to release it.
Yeah.
Because I was so excited about it. I mean, I think literally, I think that's the only just out of the book, just fresh. You never see it coming out, and they just randomly pop out. So I was really excited. I bought them right away, with the boat. Well, I bought all the boats. I bought all the characters and all that, and then again, I was like, oh, this army could be really powerful in tournament. That's when I start buying all of
them. Do you still have it? You still have them all, or you sell some of them?
I actually have them all because I don't think they're actually sellable anymore because the hands are casted. and you can't even use the gun anymore. Like that gun is actually pretty worthless. You can't even. I don't think.
Didn't they shorten the range? Is it like 18 inches now or something?
It was something stupid. You can't even play them. And then I don't think you can even bring like all 5 of them. You can only bring 1 of them or something like that. That's
the thing they did. Yeah, you can't do all 5. It's got to be 1 of each gun.
Yeah. Which sucks because then like in order for that to work, Chemist only buffs 1 of the gun, and yeah, it doesn't work at all anymore.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't happen for any other of my army, but this one actually took a big hit because I haven't even painted them. I was just finished, like converting all of them. I was so happy I could finally paint them because it actually takes so long to actually put them one by one and cast it and all that. And next thing you know, bam.
Oh man, that is too bad.
Yeah. So, but oh well, it is what it is. I have the models.
Yeah. Well, still, I mean, I collect for the heck of it. If I didn't stop myself, I would buy every model that came out because I just love them.
I know. But I'm at the point that I don't even have a place to put them on display, so it's in the box. So that's the other part. It's like, once it's in the box, I guess you're never gonna see them again.
Oh man, that's too bad.
Yeah.
Are you excited about the Gloomspite Gits?
Yeah, I am. Like it's always another broken army I can always trying to get.
Are they? Is the battle tome out yet? Have you been able to look at it?
Oh, there's some leaks, but I haven't seen any of them yet. I'm excited for the Flesh Eater Courts. I'm hoping they're having new battle tomes soon with the new releases. But
yeah, I saw there were some new models previewed.
Yeah, only the new Gold King though. I don't see any new like characters or something like that. It's just a new battle force, something like that they put out. Okay,
but you think they're getting a new battle tome?
I hope so. It's an army. I always have it. That's usually the army I would teach someone to play with against. Not saying they're not broken as well, but it's one of the balanced army I have. it only punch, and it's kind of fun to, like to show people how to learn, because it doesn't really do anything besides punching people, and usually that's the easiest way to teach Warhammer to other people.
Nothing complicated, no big combos.
Nothing complicated, just punches with like undead bodies and warriors and all that, and they're always really fun to show around because the fact with the lore they're all knights and all that, and I always make fun of them and all that. And then they're really cool models too.
Yeah.
So I hope they have new books. So
I hope so. I'm an elf fan. I was just talking to Joshua about this last week, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing high elves and dark elves similar to the old school brought back into get some new models for those in Age of Sigmar.
Do you think it'll happen though?
Well, I think in the books there's talk about Tyrion and Teclis and Malerion. So
true.
it's all out there
true.
in the lore. And I thought that they're tied to Slaanesh because Slaanesh consumed all these elf souls, and that so in the lore, they captured Slaanesh, and that's the Daughters of Cain were released, and the Agnet Deepkin was produced from
Teclis, right?
Yeah. So I think the Tyrion and Malerion, there will be factions, and hopefully it'll be like a box set, kind of like they're doing with that the Demons box, Wrath and Rapture.
Oh. Yeah.
My fantasy is that they'll do something like that, all the elves in one box, because I would definitely buy 3 of those.
Oh man, yeah, I can't wait for that because High Elf is one of my first army I started. So hopefully they didn't really break it down as specific as they've been doing. I'm hoping for like a really more army with more general varieties on it.
Yeah, I have a lot of the executioners, the Dark Elf executioners.
The
Hargoneth executioners, and I would love to see a Darkling Covens
army, right?
Yeah, it bring back some of the stuff that were that still good models.
I agree. They're getting away with that, aren't they? Like they seem to be more like specific faction focus kind of thing, and then sort of because I miss them too, like the Blackhearts, like the executioners, and even the High Elves are like separated too, right? The Lion Sword Masters and all that. They're not the same group anymore.
Right. There was the Order Draconis and I don't remember. I'll like in post. I'll like dub it in. Like I'll re-record this afterwards to make it sound like I'm super smart. I remember everything.
I know. They're pretty cool. We'll send them back.
Yeah. You know what? Either way, I'm excited. Like what they're doing with the goblins right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool, and the trolls.
Mm-hmm. They need them. It's been a long years without a book for them, so it's.
Yeah, it's due.
Yeah, I think the only time I saw them winning was 2 years ago. Have you seen that list?
No, I don't think I did.
So it's the only time that I was actually even close to winning. It actually went first place. It was a guy who's playing with, I think, 50 Squakes or something like that. It was an army that no one expected at all, and I think he played really well. And I was pretty shocked, and I wasn't expecting that army to win, and then he won first place, and then I think he totally deserved it. And ever since, I don't even ever see Moon Cleanse anymore in any tournament. So it's good to have a new battle tome. I would love to see them more.
Yeah, and it was really popular in the past. I know lots of people, like you're saying, like having just boxes of miniatures in their closet that just haven't seen the light of day. I think this is going to bring out a lot of models that still match the aesthetic that people are going to be playable. It's going to make a lot of people happy.
I hope so. Yeah, because I don't think they put too much of the new models, and then usually you could play the older models, maybe different weapons or something like that. But you'll see some people bring out all their Moon Clans. I have them too. I have like 250 Moon Clans in my box.
So are you going to dig them out?
Yeah, I'm ready. I actually already rebased them. And you know what's funny about it was I was actually playing them before because, you know, at one point they're pretty broken too with the stone horns and all that. That's the reason why I bought a lot of them.
Yeah.
and at one point they become unplayable because I think they were too cheap in points. So, you know, they got shelved. So now it's a good time to bring them back.
Yeah, it's a great time.
Yep.
This has been great talking to you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too.
Is there anything you want to say to your adoring public out there?
Well, just keep playing what you like. I guess despite what I'm doing, I guess buying competitive army, but I would say it's always pick an army that you really like, that was cool looking, whatever. Because in the end, if you lose the game, then you're still enjoying the game because it's the hobby that's most important. You know, it's as much of a competitive player I am. I try to make the game super fun. I hope I never been a jerk to anyone else. So.
Not to me. Both the times that you just rolled over me, you were never a jerk. You were always fun to play with.
So I think that's what I would say with everyone. As much as competitive you are, just have fun with the game. It was always, that's the best part of the game, I would say.
That's great. That is super good advice. Something I like to do when we're ending the show that I'm gonna start making sure everybody does is that we're gonna yell what the orcs say when they're going to war. You know what they yell when they go to war?
Wah.
Yeah, exactly. So on 3, we're gonna yell wah. You ready?
All right. Yep.
1, 2, 3.
Wah! Did I start laughing?
This has been an episode of WARlando. I am Adam. You can reach me as WARlando77 on Twitter or just WARlando on Instagram. You can reach Mark on Twitter and Instagram with the handle of WARlandoMark. You can reach Nicholas on Twitter and Instagram with the handle of WARlandoNick. Please leave comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And thank you very much for listening.